Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first ever online virtual Gator Engineering at Santa Fe information session. We appreciate you all being here and taking the time to learn more about our program. We want to congratulate you on being invited into this program. Your application to the University of Florida was not just reviewed by the University of Florida Office of Admissions, but also by a committee of faculty and academic advisors within the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering. And your application was chosen to be invited into this program because there was something that stood out to us that made us realize that you're going to be an amazing engineer one day. So we will get started and hopefully answer some of your questions. And thanks for joining us. We wish that we were all in person right now so that we could meet each and every one of you. But since we're doing this virtually, I will introduce Julie Crosby and myself. Julie is the Gator Engineering at Santa Fe and Gator Design and Construction at Santa Fe Program Coordinator and Academic Advisor from the Santa Fe College side. I'm Jennifer Gove-Cooper. I am the Program Coordinator for Gator Engineering at Santa Fe, as well as the Gator Engineering at State College of Florida, from the University of Florida side. Neither one of us are engineers, but we both have lots and lots of program experience, student affairs, and academic experience. And so we work together to help you get through this program until you get to UF and even through graduation at UF. Julie and I are in constant contact with one another. We are emailing and talking on a daily basis. So we both know what's going on with the students in this program at all times, and we're keeping each other up to date on any new things that might be going on at Santa Fe or UF, or ways that we can help students through this program. So you'll get to know both of us. Yes, we know our initials are the same, and we often get confused for one another with our names, but that's okay. We've worked together long enough that we can figure it out, and we're here to help you.
You're probably wondering how you got selected for this program when you most likely have never even heard of Gator Engineering at Santa Fe prior to receiving your invitation. And what I can tell you is that the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering wants you to be an undergraduate engineering student at the University of Florida. So there was something in your freshman application that made you stand out as having the potential to be a fantastic Gator engineer, and we're going to go into a little bit of those details in just a few minutes. I do want to go ahead and put the disclaimer out right now that with everything that's been up in the air in terms of AP courses, IB courses, what's going to happen with those exams, everything in this information session is as we know it right now. We know that those things are going to change as colleges determine what's going to happen, as College Board determines how they're going to administer those tests. So just keep that in mind, that we will give you as best information in this information session that we have. There are a couple of obvious pathways to becoming an undergraduate engineering student at UF. The traditional freshman pathway involves the freshman application process, which is becoming more and more competitive each year. And that means that the chances of being admitted for students is becoming smaller and smaller each year. The University of Florida reviews freshman applications as UF students. They are not looking to admit a certain number of business majors or a certain number of engineering majors. We know that with the UF model, lots of talented, gifted, and bright students were being turned away from UF and going to other state universities for their engineering programs. The traditional transfer application process, which brings students in around their junior year, does not guarantee admission, and it requires that students complete a list of prerequisite courses prior to applying. And those prerequisite courses may or may not be part of their AA degree requirements. So what this means is that traditional transfer students could end up paying out of pocket and taking more credit hours for these prerequisite courses when they aren't even guaranteed admission with the transfer route. Recognizing that we were losing students to other state universities for their engineering programs, the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering kind of started thinking about, okay, how can we make this work and how can we bring in more students into our undergraduate program with the current models of freshman admission and transfer admission that we have. So we mentioned the high selectivity of freshman admissions. UF has slowly climbed up into the top 10. We're now striving to be in the top 5, and that has obviously been a factor in some of our application numbers. For the incoming fall 2020 freshman class, we had a record number of freshman applications, almost 50,000 by the time it was all said and done. UF admitted under 15,000 students to fit their target enrollment of 6,500 for their incoming freshman class. So this is a 29% selectivity. We know that those other 70% are not being turned away because they're not qualified. It really just comes down to space. When we talk about space, part of what we're talking about is our critical tracking courses on UF campus being at capacity. And when I'm talking about the critical tracking courses, I'm referring to things such as the calculus series, but also the chemistry, which requires a lab component, and the physics series that requires a lab component as well. So in the fall of 2018, the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center reported that overall post-secondary enrollment was down almost 2% from the previous fall, but enrollment in STEM majors was up over 2%. We know that all STEM majors take these lab courses. And there's a lot of courses that can be taught online, and they can be taught very well online. But it's difficult to teach a chemistry lab online or a physics lab online. Nobody wants to be doing those at home in their kitchen, setting up a chemistry experiment. So with those courses filling up, we only have a certain number of lab space. That really is where we are bottlenecking in terms of our getting students into these courses and through the program. We also have the demand from employers for specific engineering majors. This graph from early 2019 shows the demand for engineers, especially in the areas of electrical engineering and computer science. These just happen to be the departments that we have room for students at the upper division level. But if we're not getting students in the door at the freshman level, we have a hard time getting them at the upper division level and then producing quality graduates for these employers who are looking for these engineers. Around 2012, we had an associate dean who started doing some thinking, and she knew that we were losing these students. We weren't getting them in at the freshman level. We had a demand for them at the graduate level, and we had room for them in those upper division level courses. So how could we get these students here to UF if we couldn't get them in as a traditional freshman? And where are we going to get these students? And that's where Gator Engineering at Santa Fe was born. I mentioned that UF had a record number of freshman applications this year, almost 50,000. All offices of admissions have a magic formula that tells them how many students they need to admit to reach their desired yield. Our Office of Admissions reviews the freshman applications, and as they are doing so, they will refer applications to us. These are applications of students who are not going to be offered a space in the UF freshman class, but have met the minimum admission requirements for UF, meaning a certain number of math credits in high school, a certain number of science credits, etc. Now, they don't refer all applications to us, but only those that have indicated that they are intending on majoring in one of the 7 majors that we have as a part of this program. We have a committee that is composed of faculty and staff from the college who review all of these applications. We go further into these applications in terms of what we are looking for engineering students. So we're looking for high grades in math and science, a demonstrated interest in engineering, maybe some extracurricular activities such as engineering clubs, robotics competitions, maybe an internship at a local engineering firm. The committee decides who they think shows promise of being an excellent engineering student and narrows that list even further, resulting in you receiving an invitation into this program. As the diagram shows, from the over 49,000 freshman applications, UF admits their portion. From the rest of them, we know that they are not qualified. We know that they're high performing students. And so the chunk that we reviewed this year was over 1,200 applications. And from that, we narrowed it down to just over 500. Julie and I have conducted enough of these information sessions that I can tell you that the questions that are probably going through your head right now are, okay, this is all great, but how fast can I actually get to UF? What about all of my AP and IB and ACE and dual enrollment credits? I've already got credit for Calculus 1. And what about summer semesters? Can't I go to school this summer and get a head start and be at UF in the fall? And we're going to answer all of those in the upcoming slides. The Gator Engineering at Santa Fe program starts for students officially in the first fall semester. All students are Santa Fe students in the first fall semester and are 100% enrolled at Santa Fe. This is regardless of whether or not they take courses in the summer B term prior to the fall. Everybody starts as a Santa Fe student in the fall. If a student meets the first semester critical tracking requirements, they are guaranteed admission to UF for the first spring semester. We provide them with detailed instructions about how to change their financial aid, Bright Futures, any scholarships over to UF, and they become an official UF student after the first semester. If a student is either not enrolled in a critical tracking course in the first fall semester, or if they're unable to meet one of the GPA requirements for that first semester, they remain as a Santa Fe student in the spring semester. We will reevaluate those students at the end of the spring semester, and if we need to, for a final time, we will review them at the end of the second fall semester for UF admission. Regardless of whether a student is admitted to UF or not in the spring semester, every student in the program takes a UF course in that spring titled Engineering, Design, and Society. This course is taught by a UF faculty member who comes to Santa Fe to teach it in our engineering design space at Santa Fe. This gives students the opportunity to experience a UF course and enhances that cohort feel of the program. Looking at the course plans and this bubble sheet, the program is set up with the goal of having students full-time at UF by the end of their second fall semester. This works for some students, but we also know that we will have students who may spend more time at Santa Fe, and we may have students who spend less time at Santa Fe, and that is perfectly okay. Every one of our students will have a different course plan that is based on any incoming credits that that student is bringing, as well as where they start in the math and science course sequence. The biggest thing to remember is that regardless of where a student starts in that first fall, all critical tracking courses must be completed at Santa Fe. So even if a student is officially admitted to UF for the first spring semester, they're going to still continue taking courses at Santa Fe until they have completed their critical tracking requirements. When I refer to the critical tracking requirements, I'm referring to these on this page. So we expect all students to earn and maintain a 2.0 overall grade point average, as well as a 2.5 critical tracking grade point average. For the critical tracking grade point average, we base this on the UF grading scale. And this is a key point to remember because UF has pluses and minuses, whereas Santa Fe has a pluses but no minus grades. So for example, a B plus at Santa Fe is worth 3.5 grade points, but at UF it's only worth 3.33 grade points. We want to make sure that students are making adequate progress through the critical tracking courses. And that's why we limit students to 2 attempts on any critical tracking course, and withdrawing from a class or dropping a class does count as an attempt. So for all of the majors in the program, critical tracking courses include Calculus 1, Calculus 2, Calculus 3, General Chemistry 1 with lab, Physics with Calculus 1 with lab, and Physics 2 with calculus and lab. And for 6 of our 7 majors, differential equations. Computer science is the only major that does not require differential equations. Some of our majors have an additional course or maybe a substitution, and those are listed at the bottom. This is an example of a course plan for the computer science program. The gray courses are the critical tracking courses, and you can see at the top of the table where those courses will be taken. So the critical tracking courses, again, being completed at Santa Fe. This is where I tell students, you know what you are coming in with. You know what calculus you've had. You know what AP courses you've had. You know if you've had any dual enrollment. If you know that you are bringing in credit, you can start going in and crossing off some of these courses. So for example, if you took English Composition 1, ENC 1101, as a dual enrollment course and you already have credit for it, you can cross that off. All of our course plans are set up to have students start in calculus and general chemistry in the first fall semester. We understand that some students are going to come in with AP credit for those courses, and that's fine. They might start in calculus 2 or physics 1 or maybe calculus 2 and general chemistry. That's perfectly okay. On the other hand, we will have students who are going to come in and they might need to take the prerequisites for Calculus 1 or for chemistry. So they have the option of taking those prerequisites during the summer B term prior to the fall starting, or they may take them in the fall, and that's okay. If they choose to take those prerequisite courses in the fall, we would shift the tracking courses down a semester. So then they would take maybe Calculus 1 and chemistry during the spring. What I can tell you is that this first year setup is not typical for a traditional freshman on-campus student. Because the students are starting at one institution, being Santa Fe, in the fall, and possibly gaining their admission to another institution after that first semester, they're just not going to get that exact same feel that a traditional student would. We don't have housing opportunities on campus for students this year, but students should look at the opportunities that this program can present them. Guaranteed admission, smaller class sizes, a more cohort feel with your fellow students that you will transition to UF with in the future. The other thing that I want to point out is that all of our course plans for this program are really set up for engineering students. So there's not a lot of flexibility to take courses if a student is interested in possibly exploring business on top of engineering. Yes, it can be done, but a student should be fairly committed to one of our engineering majors in the program to really make this program work for them. It's sometimes difficult to switch majors outside of the program at a later date. And so we want to make sure that the students are committed to their major and that they're getting those core courses for when they move to UF. Let's talk a little bit about AP credits and the role that these play, and in particular with calculus. We completely understand and respect that students are usually trying to figure out the fastest way to get to UF full time, and this typically means jumping as far ahead in the math sequence as possible. If you have earned credit for Calculus 1 or Calculus 2, that is your credit, and you have the right to move on to the next course in the sequence. However, we ask that you at least listen to and give our advice some consideration. For some students, if you're coming in with credit for Calculus 1, we're going to ask you to consider repeating the course. Number one, this is partly strategic. Repeating Calculus 1 should be an easy A for you during your first semester, which is going to help make sure that you earn the required critical tracking grade point average needed to be admitted to UF. Number two, we want to make sure that you have a true, complete understanding of calculus. Calculus is the true foundation of engineering, and the rest of your courses are going to build off of this. The charts above will show students who came in with credit for Calculus 1 and either repeated Calculus 1 or jumped into Calculus 2. For the ones who repeated Calculus 1, the blue shows the percentage of students earning an A, B, or B+. For students who jumped into Calculus 2, the percentage of students earning an A, B, or B+ dropped drastically. So just keep this in mind. We know that this year is going to bring some challenges with AP exams, but we want you to keep this in mind as we start advising you for fall registration. This slide is primarily for the parents because inevitably, every information session we've had, we always have parents who want to know, okay, all this sounds great, but does it really work? So this shows the performance of our first 6 cohorts in the program. We're going into cohort 8, but cohort 7 is not included in here because they are still having time to gain their admission to UF. So as I mentioned before, in the first fall semester, all of the students are Santa Fe students, 100% of them. By the spring semester, we typically have just over 50% who gain their UF admission. So these are students who have successfully met the critical tracking requirements in the first fall semester and gained their UF admission for the spring semester. The other students either maybe didn't meet the critical tracking grade point average, or maybe they didn't take a critical tracking course yet. Maybe they were registered for the prerequisites in the fall, and that's perfectly okay. So we look at the students who are still in green in spring 1. We reevaluate them again at the end of the spring semester. And if they have made progress and they're where they should be with critical tracking, they are UF admitted for the second fall. So by that point, we're at about 75% of the cohort has gained UF admission by the second fall. At that point, for the 25% who may not have gained their UF admission, we're starting to have discussions with them about, is engineering really for you? Is there something else that you are maybe more interested in or maybe think you might be more suited for? They're still going to have that second fall as an opportunity to gain their UF admission, but we also want to make sure that they're prepared to change to something else if they need to. So by the end of the second fall, almost 80% of our students have gained their UF admission, and that's really the final opportunity for them to gain it. So still, it's a pretty high success rate, and we're pretty proud of what we've done so far. What about graduation rates? I often get asked if students in Gator Engineering at Santa Fe graduate at the same rate as students who started as traditional freshmen at UF. The answer is yes, and in fact, students in the first 2 cohorts have a higher 6-year graduation rate than students who started as traditional freshmen at UF. You will often hear the terms 4-year graduation rates and 6-year graduation rates. These are the percentages of students who graduate with their degree within 4 and 6 years from starting college. Engineering tends to be a 5-year degree. Yes, it can be done in 4 years, but the 6-year graduation rate shows a truer picture, so that's what we're going to focus on. On average, students who start at UF as traditional freshmen in engineering have a 60% 6-year graduation rate. In our first cohort of Gator Engineering at Santa Fe students, over 62% of the students who started the program graduated from UF with an engineering degree within 6 years. Keep in mind that our 62% is also counting the students who never made it to UF. If we look at just the students who were ever officially admitted to UF, our 6-year graduation rate jumps to over 70%. In our second cohort, we still have 8 students who are in progress with completing their degree. The 6-year graduation point for this cohort is the end of summer 2020. So as long as these 8 students graduate at either the end of spring 2020 or summer 2020, the projected rates for cohort 2 will remain true.
Hello, I'm Julie Crosby, coordinator of the Gator Engineering at Santa Fe program on the Santa Fe College side. I work closely with Jennifer Gove-Cooper. In fact, we talk just about every day, either by voice or email, some days both ways, to collaborate and cooperate in working the program and assisting students from both sides of the program. I'm happy today to tell you more about the program from the Santa Fe side of things, which is where all students begin. In the first semester of the program, I believe, as Jennifer has mentioned earlier in the presentation, all students who enter the program begin as full-time Santa Fe College students for the first semester. Most students in the first semester are taking at least 12 credit hours. All students are taking 12 credit hours up to 14, sometimes 15. The average is 14 credit hours. So let's begin talking about Santa Fe. Santa Fe was the winner of the 2015 National Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence. That's a 2-year award. Another thing that you might be interested in knowing is that for several years in a row, as many as I can remember now, and I've been at Santa Fe for going on 9 years, we are home to the highest number in Florida of Bright Future Scholars. So year after year, the Florida Department of Education recognizes us for being the top choice of Bright Future Scholarship awardees in the Florida college system. That's the state college system. So I'm very accustomed to the fact that our Gator engineering students tend to be Bright Futures awardees, and it's very natural that they choose to come to Santa Fe and transfer on. Some of the other benefits at being at Santa Fe are our small class sizes. Many students will mention this as a real benefit compared to large universities. It's a great way to start out the transition from high school by having a class of no more than 30 students maximum. Many classes will be even smaller, 20, 25 students, 24 students in a chemistry class, 20 students in a physics class. That's really exceptional. Our tuition rate is lower, about half of what a UF class costs, so that's a great way to save money starting out in the program. Every class that you take that is a Santa Fe class will be charged at the Santa Fe tuition rate. When you start adding in UF classes, eventually, then those UF classes will be charged at the UF tuition rate. In the beginning, though, the classes will be Santa Fe classes, and then you slowly start to add in the UF classes until the predominant class schedule is UF. And so I think of it, I try to describe it as a scale. In the beginning, the scale is weighted all Santa Fe, and then we slowly start to add on the other side of the scale the UF classes until it's all weighted 100% UF. Personalized attention from your professors who will know your name, who will realize when they don't see you in class. Shortly after the semester begins, they start to know when you're not there and miss you. We have some programming sponsored by the College of Engineering. You'll get emails occasionally where you're invited to things over at the College of Engineering. So we're going into our 8th year of Gator Engineering at Santa Fe, amazingly. But this shows cohorts 1 through 5. Cohort 1, which began fall of 2013, started with 32 students. Last year's group was 151 students, cohort 7. So anyway, we started with 32. And to complete the program completion, I think of as a student who has completed the AA degree and the critical tracking requirements. Now, you don't have to complete the program to get over to UF, but that's what this chart is showing. So completing the critical tracking, as Jennifer mentioned, is what gets you over to UF full time. But we keep tracking these students until they complete the AA degree as well, which is a requirement eventually of the program before you can graduate UF. And completing an AA is really just completing the general education requirements that are required to get a bachelor's degree anyway. It's just with this program you also are awarded an AA degree. So when you look at cohort 1, you can see that in our first group, 88% completed the AA degree, 75% completed the program. Now, these are all out of all the 32 students who began the program. 75%, 3/4 of them, completed all the tracking for engineering in the program, plus their AA degree, both aspects. 88%, even if they decided engineering wasn't for them, even if they didn't complete Calc 1, 2, 3, Physics 1, 2, and Chemistry, they went on to get their AA degree. That's a really outstanding, because I think as a parent, I always believe that this is a really important factor. These are students continuing their education who can go on and transfer, and they do transfer for other majors, either at UF or that if they decide to move home and go to another university later, or immediately, they can transfer for other majors. So I think that really is important. It's important to me that students have the ability to continue their education. Engineering, sometimes as students get involved in the prerequisites or the tracking, they may realize it's not the right major for them. And so that's just, for me, these orange bars are very important and mean a lot. They would to me if it was my own daughter who was in the program. And so you can see here we consistently have an 89% average AA completion rate. When we get up here to cohort 5, right now it's at 75%. That group has not fully come through yet, so they're still in progress. But in our first 4 years, we've got an 89% average AA completion rate. And then in the program completion, you see 75, 76, 64, and 58. We have, in the program completion, this would be where you have students that maybe decide they want to change their major. So it doesn't necessarily mean that these are all students who couldn't pass the rigorous Calc 3, Physics 2. Sometimes not passing the critical tracking is just simply a student who decided that that wasn't the right major for them. So still though, these are not bad percentages. 64% is still comparable with the freshmen beginning over at UF. Here's what you need to do between now and the time that you graduate high school. First, everything begins with your math placement. This is very critical. You need to take the online AccuPlacer Advanced Algebra and Functions, or AAF test, to determine math placement through the Santa Fe Assessment Center. This is an online test through the Santa Fe Assessment Center. Or if you have AP, IB, or ACE math scores, or dual enrollment math credit, college level math credit, that are high enough, then the AAF test may be waived. We have more information about this that I am mailing out by tomorrow, but this is very important. It cannot be a test score that's pending from senior year AP or senior year dual enrollment. This has to be something you already have from junior year that you are able to send in. So this is not math placement that we would be waiting for. It has to already be done from junior year. For summer B registration and early fall registration, then we have to have the AAF score by May 22nd. No later than May 22nd in order to have that test score report and get you processed and registered in time for June 29th, which is when summer B starts. So the earlier that you would take the AAF online through our assessment center, the better. The second thing everyone should do is submit the FAFSA, Federal Application for Financial Aid, immediately, and select Santa Fe College, not UF, Santa Fe College as your home school for the FAFSA. And if you are getting Bright Futures, also select Santa Fe as your home school. And for both of those, put summer as your first semester. Even if you're not sure yet, put summer as the first semester, and also then fall 2020. 3, ask your high school to send your final official transcript to Santa Fe and UF after you officially graduate. Do the same for any college that issued you dual enrollment transcripts. We cannot use your high school transcript to get your dual enrollment credit. We have to have a college dual enrollment transcript from the college you attended. 4, submit Florida residency documents to the Santa Fe admissions office. 5, order your final AP, IB, ACE score reports to be sent to Santa Fe and UF. And 6, do not submit an application to Santa Fe College, even if you receive an automated request asking you to do so. Just ignore that, please. Your UF application information will be sent to Santa Fe instead, so we do not want you to submit an application to Santa Fe College. And then what's next after that? Ask questions either of me or of Jennifer. You can email me, you can call, complete confirmation form on the website by May 1st, and we will get you going and you'll become a Gator engineer like these happy people from a previous cohort. This is a group from a few years back whom I remember fondly. So we're doing phone and online. Right now we're finishing up registering current students. So we cannot advise you there's a process we're going to go through. We will be asking you to participate in the admissions and enrollment processing, really going back to that slide of what you need to do between now and high school graduation. Those steps are important, and I will be emailing that out as well in a separate document for you. We've been a little busy with the current students, but we're getting to it. So taking care of those things between now and when you graduate high school, and then we will start with the processing of admitting, enrolling, and registering the new students, all of you, for fall and summer B. And that's it. And here is the contact information.